Emily knows best. The island of Sodor has many beautiful sights. There were green fields and hills and many beautiful castles. The Indians of Sodor loved to visit them all. One day, Emily was dropping in visitors at ruined castle. Once upon a time, a queen had lived there, thought Emily. Down the hill from the castle, Toby and Percy arrived. They were the shunned freight cars. Percy had never worked there before. Peeped Percy excitedly. Said Toby. And he chopped towards the freight cars. Percy started at the castle. He was dreaming of kings and queens. Called Toby. Hubbed Emily. Then she remembered that Toby and Percy were walking near the castle. She said. Toby and Percy were waiting to be coupled up when Emily chopped in. She was very excited about the passengers. She whistled. Percy looked pleased. She said. Percy liked the idea of having fun, but Toby thought Emily's idea was silly. He said wisely. Hubbed Emily. Toby laughed. That made Emily cross. She wheezed. Toby was now coupled up to his freight cars. Percy thought his look at the troublesome trucks. Said Toby. And Toby steamed slowly. The troublesome trucks started to moan and grow. They chattered and chattered. Percy knew there were going to be trouble. Emily had been waiting Percy. Emily had been watching Percy. She thought. Percy was shunting the troublesome trucks as hard as she could, but they wouldn't move. They were very difficult. Emily chattered to a halt. She whistled loudly. Percy was worried. Toby usually knows best. Said Emily. Percy wanted Toby to be pleased. He tooted. Emily was pleased with herself. She watched as Toby blew a big wheeze of steam. Percy puffed, and he chuffed. and the troublesome truck sped off. Emily let the wheeze of steam. She didn't know best, but suddenly there was a terrible noise. As the dust cleared, Emily saw what had happened. The troublesome trucks had ran into Mavis, who was waiting on the track. Luckily, no one was hurt, but her load of stone had spilled all over the line, and one of the freight cars had come off the rails, knocking over the telephone pole. Cried Mavis. Emily was shocked. Then there was another crash. It was Toby. His wheels had stuck to the telephone pole, and he was derailed. Emily knew it was her fault, but she didn't know what to do. The telephone line, so no one could call for help. Mavis couldn't move. She was stuck. Along still the freight cars, and Percy couldn't move either. Cried Emily. Toby wheezed out a big cloud of steam. He cried. Emily knew Toby was right. She steamed off as fast as she could. Emily whizzed to a halt at Mayland Station. She told the station master what had happened. Quickly, he phoned for help. Soon Toby had been limping back onto the rails. He wasn't hurt, but his cowcatchers would need repair. Emily jumped into the shunting yards. The Topham Hatt was very cross. He boomed. He added sternly. Said Emily. Chichoff. Emily, you have caused confusion and delay. Luckily, Toby knew what to do.